So I came outside for some peaceful reading before work, and this ruckus started in the trees. They're so loud. Anyway, I'm currently reading Paradise Island. This is by Sam Golbeck and Colby Brock with Gabby Triana. Gabby Triana, I think, is an author, an established author, where Sam and Colby are actually YouTube stars. They do a lot of paranormal investigations, and they came out with a book, kind of loosely based on a vacation they took in Hawaii. And it's really, really good. Oh my gosh. This is nuts out here today. But anyway, it's loosely based on a vacation they took in Hawaii, and things go horribly wrong. I wasn't sure if this was going to be any good, but I am hooked. I started it yesterday, and I am nearly finished it, and I just want to see what's going to happen. So I'm like on the edge of my seat here. It's really, really good. Well, I just finished Paradise Island. It was really good. Like I said, it's about two YouTubers, Sam and Colby. You can find their channel on YouTube. They do paranormal investigations, and it's based on a trip they took with their friend Nate, who also does some investigations with them, and another friend named Alex. They go to Kauai, where Nate encounters an old acquaintance of his named Trey, who invites them to this estate where he's living with a much older woman. She's like some 40 years his senior. And she lives on the north shore of Kauai, which is pretty much restricted except to people who live on the island. And they invite the four of them up there to like spend part of their vacation up there, at least a day or so, to check out the place because it's a big estate there. And also, if you're reading the book, you find out about this camp. They call it the Rider Camp, but apparently it was the Taylor Camp or something along the lines. If you look up Treehouse Camp in Kauai, you'll find a historical reference to a camp that was there that was run by Elizabeth Taylor's brother, and it was like a hippie commune where they did all sorts of drugs. I forget how long they were there, but eventually the government bought out the land and burned down the tree houses just to get the people out of there. But a lot of the native people living around there didn't really want this group of hippies living on the island. But anyway, it was interesting how they kind of tied this historical background to it, but I did definitely check it out on Wikipedia. It was pretty interesting, but the book, things go all sorts of craziness when they're on this estate, and it was kind of edge of your seat kind of stuff. I literally finished this in about a day. I wanted to know what was going to happen. It reads, it's definitely horror, paranormal kind of horror, a bit on the YA level probably, but I think it definitely appealed to adults that like horror novels and things like that. It's a quick read, basically, because you're not going to want to put it down. But I really, really enjoyed it. So I think that's the only thing they've ever come out with. But I really enjoyed their channel. I'm glued to all that kind of paranormal stuff. It's just kind of fun, I guess. And their YouTube channel is really, really good. It's got a lot of followers, and yeah, I really enjoyed the book. So anyway, I'm gonna see what to read next.
And the stiffest of white cravats and shirt collars. He was buttoned up, mighty trim and tight, and must have taken a great deal of pains with his whiskers, which were accurately curled.
Well, the other book I finished reading was The Mysterious Flame of Queen Loana by Umberto Eco. Probably not the best first Eco book to read. From what I've seen on all other YouTubers, booktubers, they kind of rank it as the lower end of the list of books that he's written, and probably the least favorite. I was just intrigued by the premise of it, about a bookseller by the name of Yambo, although as you're introduced to the character, he doesn't even know who he is. He has had some sort of incident where he's lost his memory. He doesn't know anything about himself, about his family, but for some reason he's able to quote lots of things from books that he has read. He is a bookseller, dealing on rare books and things, and he has at least flashes of the various books and things that he's read over the years. He comes to find out that he does indeed have a wife and children and grandchildren. She takes care of him as he leaves the hospital, in the hopes that as he's home, maybe things will start to trigger his memory. But when that fails, they think maybe he needs to start further back, because to move forward, you kind of need a jumping off point, as he describes. And that jumping off point may be the beginning, his childhood. So he returns to his childhood town and starts sifting through all the literature and music and thing of his time in the hopes of finding himself. But what he finds as you're kind of reading along in the story is more the generation he grew up in. So there's a lot of, you could describe this as a historical mystery. The mystery is who he is, trying to find out and discover that, but it's also the historical references that he comes across. It is chock full of various illustrations, pictures and things throughout the book of the various things of his generation. Like I said, the music, the comic books that he read, also with that generation that he's in, it was right around the beginning of World War II and the rise of fascism in Italy, so you get a lot of that historical background of the country that he grew up in. And during that whole thing, he is searching through what he describes as this fog. Fog seems to be a theme that permeates throughout the entire book, and he's trying to search for his life. You know, who was he, as opposed to just, you know, the things he encountered, the things he read. As a first book, like I said, I know I've read a couple or listened to a couple other reviews on it, and a lot of people kind of gave up on the book. It just gets a little bogged down on a lot of that historical background and the fascism and the rise of Mussolini and all that, and mostly about the various books and things that he's read. You know, you can only sift through so much of that, and it is a bit like going to someone's house and looking through their photo albums. After a while, you're like, okay, I've had enough. You know, it was cute seeing you as a kid or whatever, but you get a little tired of it, and that's what this book kind of felt like. It was a bit too much after a while. I did read the whole thing, though. I did plumb it on. I won't say that the ending was kind of ambiguous. I'm not sure if that's something that the author does on a regular basis. But in this one, he does sort of leave things kind of open-ended that you're left to interpret, I guess. And that kind of disappointed me a little bit, I guess. I wish I would have started with a different book. I'm not going to give up on the author. I mean, I'm curious about some of his other things. I've seen The Name of the Rose. I've never read it, but I've seen the movie. And I just wasn't in the mood at that moment to start with that one, so that's why I picked up this one. But I've also seen another booktuber, The Book Chemist, who discussed and ranked his books from, you know, lowest favorite to most favorite. Does highly recommend The Prague Cemetery. If I come across a copy of that, I'll probably pick that one up. But not in any rush for it right now. But I was just happy to kind of read through it, and I'll check it out and kind of see the history of that time frame too, kind of a time that my own father grew up in. And kind of see the things that he maybe experienced too. So it was very interesting on that end. So after finishing those two books, I decided I wanted something lighthearted, so I switched to a cozy mystery, and I picked up Murder in Galway by Caroline O'Connor. This is the first book in a Home to Ireland mystery, and I'd previously read two books in her Irish Village mystery series, which I really enjoyed, so thought I would check this one out. I'll go ahead and read the back for you. It says, Tara never imagined her introduction to Ireland like this, carrying her mem's ashes to honor her final request. Quote unquote, tell Johnny I'm sorry, take me home, her mom said. She never met her mem's estranged brother, Johnny Meehan, who owns an architectural salvage business in Galway. Although Tara is immediately charmed by the medieval city, the locals seem wary of strangers, and a gypsy warns her that death is all around. When Tara arrives at her uncle's stone cottage, the prophecy seems true. A dead man lies sprawled over the threshold in a pool of blood. The victim turns out to be Johnny's wealthiest client, and her missing uncle is the Garda's #1 suspect. In trying to find Johnny and solve the crime, Tara uncovers her mem and uncle's troubled past, but with a desperate killer about, she had better mind herself or they'll be tossing her ashes in Galway Bay. So, yeah, I really enjoyed the first two in that Irish Village mystery series, so just wanted something a little lighthearted, and I'm just going to dive into this one now. So, anyway, that's all I have for you guys. I hope you guys are reading something good. Let me know down below, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.